Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys don't know what makes this video special, it's that it's 100! It's number 100! I've uploaded 100 videos to YouTube. This marks the 100th upload of videos that I put online. And with that in mind, I wanted to make a video that encompasses all 5 most important times in my art career. So please enjoy. Top 5 moments in my art career. Number 5, my first sketchbook. The very first moment that I remember that I ever wanted to become a real artist, a true professional artist, somebody that actually made a living with their art, was back in high school, and this was around 2001. And I was about a year away from graduating from high school. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I could have gone into law. I could have gone into a million different things. But nothing really captured my interests. All I really liked to do was play strategy games like Magic the Gathering and play, video games and stuff like that. So the idea of actually going to art school was something that I always thought could be a possibility. But I never really gave it much thought because, I didn't really know how to draw. One day, just out of nowhere, I decided to get a little composition book, and I got some markers. They were in the thrift shop, and I ended up just doing a really quick doodle. And that doodle made me really, really happy. And I continued drawing, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. And I learned a lot from just that few experiences that my first sketchbook gave me. It made me realize that I could do a lot more than I possibly could have imagined with artwork. I realized that I could somewhat draw my thoughts and my feelings, and enough to make it into like a diary sort of things. And it also gave me a reason to work towards something, because I wasn't the best at it. I was definitely not very good. But, I worked hard, and I wanted to actually accomplish getting better. It was like a video game to me. It made me want to level up. And I didn't really know many artists around me, and I was always doing good in my arts classes, even though I wasn't very good at the time. But, I would always get praised in art classes. And I don't know why, but all my focus dropped and became drawing. And it was all thanks to that first little sketchbook. Number 4, heading to college. The next one that comes to mind when I'm talking about my top 5 times in my life as an artist has to be the time that I decided to go to art college. Okay, well, this was scary. Not necessarily because I was scared of the challenge. I knew it was something I was going to love, so I wasn't afraid of a challenge. It was scary because I normally never show my artwork to people at this time in my life. I'm too, self-conscious about people criticizing it because I don't think it's good. And it wasn't. But, young Rod probably couldn't have taken it. So I was really scared to know what people would have to say if they didn't like what they saw. So, and that plays in part with a lot of other things. Deciding that I wanted to go to college and looking at the skill and the talent that was there, I realized that I was not really good at all compared to the other people. I had just started drawing about a year before, and some of these people were telling me that they had been drawing since they were in like their mother's womb, like since they were born, and they knew they wanted to be artists since they were born. So that's why they went to art school. And that scared me because I did not know if I was making a huge, huge mistake. And on top of that, I realized that it's pretty damn hard. I was not a naturally gifted person. I just really, really wanted to do it. And it's not as easy as people think it is. It's incredibly hard and very competitive and very, very challenging if you don't have an eye for this sort of stuff. But the best things that come out of this time in my life was that I was finally meeting people that were like-minded, people that had the same goals as me. And even though I didn't really know anything about the art world or anything that I could do in it, I just knew that I wanted to be a part of it. I went in thinking that animation was graphic design, and it's not. The counselor had to actually tell me it was different, and so I switched to animation. And that's how badly it was. I did not know the difference between different art genres when it comes down to academics. So I did it completely on a whim, and I never regret it. Another good thing to come out of, college in general was that I learned to be challenged without getting upset. I learned that I could lead and I could teach others the few skills that I excelled at. Now I could easily teach them to other people. So people reached out to me to learn something new, to explain things that were complicated. And I slowly started really enjoying teaching. College taught me a lot of essential things that I had absolutely no idea of, which is software. I didn't know how to use Photoshop. I didn't know how to use Illustrator. I didn't know how to do anything. So in my case, art school was probably necessary for me to be able to get into the art world. If somebody is proficient in all those stuff, you don't need college to tell you that you're good. I have never gotten a degree, or I've never gotten a job with my college degree. And even now, I think my art school went bankrupt and they closed, so I don't even know if my degree counts for anything. But it doesn't matter because I've never needed it to actually get into a job. So that's probably more than just a single moment in my life, but I think it merits having all this. Number 3, my first art job. Oh man. My first art job. Well, my first real art job that I consider in the industry would be the fact that I was a caricature artist at the San Diego SeaWorld. And I was in love with that job. I loved it so much. It allowed me to have income by drawing while going to school for drawing. And I would spend my free time drawing. So it allowed me to make humongous progress when it came down to my drawing abilities. It forced me to draw every day, even when I wasn't feeling good or I wasn't inspired. I had to draw something, and it was always a different canvas. Caricatures are amazing. They're an amazing job if you can sell yourself and you are quick. And both of those things can be learned really easy. If you're young, I recommend having a job as a caricature artist, at least for a summer or two. You'll learn a lot about yourself, and it'll learn a lot about like drawing in general. But the thing that makes my first art job such an important part in my career is that it finally validated me as an artist. I finally felt like it could actually be a possibility. I took this job when I was still in college, after my first year of college, and it was incredibly challenging at first, and I had to compete against other people to get the job as is. So I knew that whoever was working there was going to be top notch. Luckily, I know how to speak in public. I know how to charm people. So I finessed my way into the actual job. And I absolutely love the fact that I took that. When it comes down to fun jobs, that's probably my top choice if I ever went back and had to do a job for no money. That's a fantastic way to just make people smile and everything. Uh, some of the reasons that I love having that first job is at SeaWorld was that it helped me grow, and it did avoid having me like fall into the rut of going to school and then having to shift gears from my art into a 9 to 5 that possibly just drained the soul out of me. So I really, really love the fact that it allowed me to do that. It allowed me to draw a lot more than I could possibly have imagined. And I met other artists that were artists in the real world, that they were paying rent. You know, they were not going to art school. They were trying to do it on their own. And it gives you a whole other perspective on things. And that is why getting my first art job was such a significant time in my life. Number 2, freelancing and not starving to death. I think the next big point in my life was when I decided to stop working 9 to 5 jobs, because at this point I had been everything from a video editor to animation to illustrator to graphic designer to whatever you want to call it, painters, speed painters, teachers. I had tried a ton of different jobs in the industry, and I wasn't really happy with any of them. So at this point, I was, I had a little bit of like notoriety in a couple places. One of them was a big one that was Silverfish Longboarding, and that's a skating group. It was a longboarding group because I was really heavily into skating back then. But I would get some notoriety there. I remember I used to post my artwork everywhere, and it didn't get any traction at all. And then I decided to start posting on a skating forum because it was a place that I was in every single day anyways. So I decided to start just posting my artwork and seeing if anybody would like to get anything done. Luckily, it did. It worked. And I started winning some contests. I started, getting a little bit of confidence. Realizing that I was actually at a level that I could actually become a professional at my illustration. And having that marketable skill allowed me to give myself the chance to try freelancing, and strictly freelancing. And I hopefully had the skills to pay the bills. I had to be very, very, very sure that I had at least a little bit of money saved up just in case things started to get rough. And I went for it. And it went really, really decent at first. I'm not going to say that I was reining in money or anything, but I was able to pay my bills. I was able to cover my expenses and still not starve. At the end of the month, I wasn't hurting. And the next month, it was just as much work or more. And again, I made enough. And then the next, and then the next, and then the next. And I realized that, wow, this is something that I can actually do. And I freelanced for a very long time. I went at it for about 5 years, just freelancing, not taking any other job. And then I started, like missing being around human beings. So I decided to take a job again at a theme park. But freelancing for the first time and realizing that I could do this without starving to death was probably it's a huge significant factor in my life as an artist, and that is why it's number 2. Number 1, learning my purpose. One of the biggest factors in my life that has contributed to who I am right now is the fact that I have always wanted to teach other people. I absolutely hate the notion that people have that only those who can't succeed are the ones that teach. That is a horrible statement, and I honestly think that is a very misguided thing. I learned early on in my career, back in college, that anytime that I was able to impart any sort of knowledge to anyone else, especially if it was something that I was good at, I wanted to impart it in them in the easiest, most simple way possible, because as I was growing up and learning all the things that I know, it was incredibly difficult, and people didn't explain the things the way that I would have essentially learned better. So I aim to be the artist that I wish I knew back when I was starting out. I love saying that to people. You should always aim to be the artist that you wish you had met when you were starting off. And that's who I'm trying to be. Luckily for me, I started getting notoriety on the internet, especially on Instagram, for posting my 15 to 20 minute doodles that I could do while I had my coffee breaks. And at first, I had an okay following, before I started posting those. I had maybe like 200 people following me on Instagram, and I was like, yeah, all right, awesome. 200 people think I'm cool. I'm okay with that. When I started posting the daily drawings, that very quickly shot up to 400. And I was super excited, like, ooh. Then within a week, it was 800. Within 2 weeks after that, I was over 1,000. And I just kept at it. It just made me more excited to post. I think at that time, I was posting around like 5 drawings a day sometimes, and not pacing myself, and just like, I just wanted to share as quickly as I could with everybody. And all the acceptance that I got, all the support that I got from people as they started to discover who I was amazing. It was like my heart would fill with joy every single time I would see somebody say, hey, I look up to you. Hey, you're amazing. Hey, you brighten up my day. And that's the moment that you as an artist have to be responsible enough to understand that you are influencing other people out there. And most likely very impressionable younger people, or people trying to get into into their art field. And if so many people look up to you, that is a measure of responsibility that nobody can prepare you for. I honestly had a very hard time trying to know what I wanted to do with my avenues that I had. I knew that eventually in time I wanted to start something where I could teach people. And, I learned about Patreon, and I learned about YouTube, and I learned about all these avenues that I could do. and I opted for YouTube. And if you guys haven't seen any of my other videos, and this is the first one you see, I started a while back. There's been huge gaps in the time lapses where I have not posted, but it's been a while since I started uploading recently again. And it was mostly because I didn't know if I was doing a good job relaying information to you guys. I didn't want to just post videos for posting's sake and get views and make money off it. Yeah, it would be amazing to make a living off of this, but until that moment happens, you can't just cop out. So I decided to stop, and I think I gave it a little bit too much time. But I also realized when I started posting again of the importance that it is to have people such as myself, such as Draw with Jaza, such as, all the other art YouTubers out there that help motivate the next generation of artists that are coming in. And if you're humble, if you're willing to share your knowledge, and you can even help one more person reach a level that they didn't think was attainable, I think that you've left your mark on this world. And that's the type of person that I wanted to be. And that I honestly believe is my calling when it comes down to this world. I don't necessarily want to be the next Walt Disney. I would love to teach the new Walt Disney their potential. And I'd be incredibly happy with that outcome. And that is why I try to reach every single one of you guys as many times as I can, as often as I can. So that is why realizing my purpose in this small world is my number one art-related topic that has affected my art career. So there you have it, peeps. The top 5 moments that I consider to be most important in my art career. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a couple more doodles than you guys are used to in one drawing, in one video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it still. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, woo! 100 videos and going strong. So if you guys like what you see, do the whole sub thing, turn on the notifications, like my videos if you do like them, and check out any of the other videos coming up on the screen. Thank you guys again so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.